Ashley, how are you today? Where are you located physically today?
Hi, usually I'm joining in from Delhi today and sitting in my head office in my cabin and very excited to be speaking with you today. I know we've been trying to schedule this for a very long time. I'm glad this is happening and would love to know who all have joined, what they do, where they've joined us from, and looking forward to exchanging some valuable information, thoughts, and also hearing from our audience on, if there's something we could talk about more or even learning from our audience.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to hear where are people joining from, and sometimes on these interviews we hear the questions which make us think, and sometimes we hear the experiences which are actually valuable for our businesses.
Absolutely.
I'm getting the updates from my team that few people already joined, but we shall wait for a few more minutes for people to join, and then obviously, also we're going to make this interview available across the channels so that people can watch it at their convenience if they are not able to join the live session. And yeah, it's thank you very much for joining. Really appreciate you making the time for this. Really excited to have a conversation about all things retail. It's always insightful to chat with you and to talk to someone who is actually executing this business on the ground in one of the fastest growing markets in the world.
Likewise, always love catching up with you. I think we've known each other for almost 2 years now, meeting each other at various conferences and exchanging notes. And I think Yango Tech is doing a fantastic job in upgrading, I would say, creating more efficiencies in the retail ecosystem. And always proud of what you guys are doing and love listening to everything that you got to say.
Thanks for saying that. Yeah, I think it's been 2 years since we started to come to India, which is definitely a fascinating country, and we now have a few partners there, and it's a very different market to anything else in the world. And I think obviously the food in India is amazing. just
I
just
agree.
I think many of us Westerners, we just don't realize how diverse the cuisine there is, and every single time I come, I discover something new.
So what's your favorite so far?
Well, I think that Rogan Josh is great thing. Like that's like one thing which comes to mind. I'm obviously fascinated with the breads, and my favorite one is pudina alla chaparata.
Not bad. You're actually getting the pronunciation bang on.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I needed to learn it because there are so many different varieties of bread. So once I tried everything, I figured out what's my favorite. I needed to learn it so that I can always ask for
I'm an Indian, born and raised in India, and I'm still trying new breads every time. They say that the food in India changes every 50 kilometers, and so does the language. So even something as simple as our homemade rotis taste different in different homes, and there are like so many varieties of that. So we're still trying new foods and exploring new Indian foods.
Definitely, it's like this is one of the things, and uh, which fascinates me in Western cities, and I mean, obviously, I'm very respectful to Italian or French cuisine and all the different, and my native Russian cuisine as well. But usually, even fine dining experiences, you would have like a few different flavors, let's say 5 different flavors, right? And that's called an experience, and it is, of course, an experience when executed by the masterful chef. However, in India, in every little cafe and every little restaurant, it's like the average meal would be like 20 different flavors and like God knows how many different adjustments to it's like with masalas and spices and stuff. And after all this endless experience, then they bring the dessert.
And
So,
and 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 they won't just bring one dessert, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like you don't need to go to Michelin star restaurant to experience that, and that's absolutely outstanding. It's amazing. So, but I think it's the same thing we see, the thing which we see in cuisine and in foods. I think the same thing we are going to experience in groceries, which is going to be the subject of our today's conversation. I think we'll slowly begin the conversation. And now, for to all our audiences, guys, if you have the questions as we go, you can leave them in the chat window. And if you want to share their experiences or anything, don't hesitate and leave them in the chat window. And I think we will slowly begin our interview. So I'll introduce Asta, who doesn't need really no introduction. At least, like whenever the event in India I go, everyone knows her. So. You are a serial entrepreneur, and you have founded quite a few companies, and now you are the co-founder of the New Shop, which is now the largest tech-enabled convenience retailer, right? Growing through the franchise model. And is that correct, or would you add something else to the introduction of yourself?
Absolutely. I'm a passionate retailer above everything else. Always grew up seeing my uncles build their traditional retail businesses. Was always super passionate, grew up in their stores and saw how they would transact on things, and always wondered how could I bring in more efficiency, transparency, and scale to the existing retail ecosystem. And I'm actually a retail specialist. I've done my master's in retail and fashion management and marketing. And I think I was born to sort of build this and standardize the distribution story in India. And you said it right. New Shop is India's largest convenience retailer. We're also the largest FMCG franchising company in the country. Close to almost 300 plus stores now. We're in 45 cities, very big in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities. In fact, in most tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, we're the first modern trade store there. And it's very delightful to see how we're creating not just an impact in our franchise owners' lives through our amazing business model, but changing the social infrastructure and the socio-cultural situation in various tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities where we operate our stores 24 hours and just created more life out of all these cities and created nightlife in those cities. It's very overwhelming, it's very fascinating. And by God's grace, we've been growing really fast. Most of our growth came in the last 2 years, which is when we started franchising. A lot of people ask us all the time, what is really convenience retail? And I just briefly thought I'll touch upon that because retail industry has various formats. Of course, we'll cover all those formats later in the conversation today. But the format that I am super passionate about and I'm building is called convenience retail, which is simple. It's like those small format stores near where you live, where you travel, where you study, where you work from, that serve all the products and services needs of that customer base in that location that will be consumed within the first 1 hour of purchase, right? So convenience retail is like that, your best friend or your genie, whatever you want, and it's there at your service right there in front of you. It's open 24 hours. It serves you grocery, supermarket services. It gives you quick on-the-go food, beverages. It gives you services like, cash withdrawal services, courier services, printing services, ticket booking services. It's literally everything, and it's your genie that'll bring all your wishes come true, anything, anytime, anywhere. That's been our journey so far. And as you can see, in all these cities, whether it's Raipur, Jabalpur, Udaipur, Patiala, Ludhiana, Bareilly, Ajmer, New Shop is the first modern trade store for that city. And it's just, upgrading people and giving them their first interaction with a modern retail experience, as well as interaction with new age brands, where they can touch, feel, try, buy, and experience great shopping, which in your Western world has been very, very common. Now, with the new shop, whether it's the brands or the consumers, they're getting to interact with the brands, discover new brands, and establish trust in those brands above everything else, which typical e-commerce is not sort of being able to fulfill. The creating the trust, touch and feel, and try and buy kind of a factor, right? So very overwhelmed. Our vision is to build 10,000 stores or empower 10,000 entrepreneurs, franchise entrepreneurs by the year 2030. That's the vision we live by, and we're the only chain in the country that operates 24 hours. So there are a lot of firsts with us, and it's been an amazing journey with a lot of learnings and a lot of things that we've had to build first time. With New Shop, we realized the power of omni-channel retail, both for our business partners who are our franchise owners, who are able to, gain a lot of value for being present at all touch points where the consumers are present, but even offering our customers the flexibility to buy whatever they want from anywhere they want. So we're present across 12 channels, but the most fascinating thing about this is that 70% of our online orders are for in-store pickups. And that's the flexibility of ordering online, yet getting the experience of an offline store that we're able to marry seamlessly and provide the best-in-class customer experience.
That's definitely one of the things which we see traditionally. The grocery retailers who are adopting the online technologies, they were thinking about it as a new channel, as something that is driven by the offline. That is a little bit of the addition to the offline. Now, however, what we see that in many areas and in many countries, actually the online retail sometimes drives the offline retail, so drives the awareness of the brand and brings the customers to the offline. And now many of the grocery retailers are actually using that to bring more people to their offline store, and that truly becomes the omni-channel, like a flywheel. People find something in the online, come to pick it up in the store, find something in the store, then go back home, order it online, and that becomes the truly omni-channel experience. Look, let me ask you this one thing. You mentioned so many advantages of the modern retail or modernized retail. Why would you think people are still buying in traditional stores? I mean, which in India they are called kiranas, in Africa that would be spaza shops, and mom and pop stores or convenience stores in Western part of the world, or bakala stores in Arab side of the world. So why do people still buy from those small stores rather than from the modernized retail?
So, all countries, like you mentioned, have gone through a journey of moving from traditional retail to modern retail. And most of this journey was fueled by infrastructural development and modernization and urbanization of the country, right? So in every country that you have spoken of were earlier dominated by unorganized retail, where, your kirana stores, mom and pop stores, corner shops, gonbinis, and, various other names given to these traditional stores existed. Right. In fact, you can see the graph right in front of you. They all started at a very lower threshold, because you see, getting and starting a grocery store is actually the easiest business to come up with. All you need a little space within your own house. You don't the government's also promoted all these, individual families to set up these small stores within their home premises, or, community stores nearby, because it was the easiest way to find employment for these people, right? It did not require any skill sets. It did not require a lot of capital. People could just do it from the comfort of their home and sell daily needs and essential products to consumers, right, within that locality. But what happened, and over the period of time, these were family-run businesses. So, it was a father, then the son, and then the grandson who continued operating these businesses. And this was part of the growing journey of the country. Now, what happened with modernization, infrastructural development, is that real estate costs increased. There were more avenues of employment for the youth. And suddenly, running that traditional mom and pop or corner store became unattractive, and kind of a sort of, going down in social currency, right? It reduced your social status to be associated. Oh, it's not fancy that, hey, I'm a kirana store operator, right? So what happened with the young generation is that the opportunity cost of running that kirana store versus renting it out or doing some other retail business, because kirana stores were very low margin businesses, so the profitability was sort of limited, right? And the younger generation just started feeling that I want to do something more modern, more aligned with the upcoming times. The social societies and infrastructures, whether it was railway stations or airports or gas stations or neighborhoods, started changing. These places started getting upgraded and modernized. And the youth did not any longer want to run that kirana store. Now, this is a story that happened 15 years ago in South Korea, 10 years ago in Indonesia. It's a story that you see happening in India right now, where the young generation just does not want to be associated with that traditional store anymore. And they want a more modernized and futuristic businesses to run. And that is when the consolidation and the advent of modern trade happened in every part of the world. Now, there are multiple formats of modern trade, but these small corner shops slowly started to get aggregated, and big conglomerates in convenience retail started developing. So, of course, the biggest one is 7-Eleven. We all know about it. It's got like some close to 80,000 stores. It's also recently entered India. Then there is Circle K in South Korea. There are about 6 companies that came in the last decade, and they're all like multi-billion-dollar companies. Like CU, 7-Eleven, GS25, etc. Indonesia had Alpha Mart and Family Mart that, are again multi-billion-dollar companies. They all started with a whole thing of allowing these young talent to become business owners by virtue of owning these franchisees of these modern convenience retail stores. So that's what has happened. Now in India, this change has started to happen. I mean, all of our franchise owners, I would say, are under the age of 30 years. The youngest one being 18. And they're all like kids of traditional family businesses who do not find enough white collar job opportunities or professional opportunities. And technically, they don't even want to do that. They want to become business owners, but business owners of a cool business. And New Shop is a cool business for them and something that they get social currency about. So that's what's happening. It's a $3 trillion industry. And in India, we estimate it to be almost a 40 to $50 billion industry. New Shop is a pioneer and got a very big head start. But I am sure all these names that you see up there on the screen are looking at entering India at some point in time. And it's going to be good. Good time for modern trade in India.
Absolutely, I think that if we compare the penetration of modern retail in some of the more mature markets, like in the UK or in my homeland in Russia, I think it's more than 70, approaching 80% of modern retail penetration. And India, by different estimates, is anywhere from 4 to maybe 17% in the metro cities. However, still has got like quite a lot to modernize and to grow. Interesting thing is that the online grocery retail in India seems to be growing much faster than in the other countries, and it seems like almost the growth of modern retail or the technological penetration in some areas is overtaking the original modern retail growth. Like, for example, in some areas, we literally have seen that the dark stores, which are purely online operators, in some areas, you would see the people lining up in front of the dark store to pick up their groceries, and that dark store would have, say, up to maybe 1,000 daily orders for delivery, along with another few hundred or even another 1,000 orders for the pickup. And when you talk to the people in from some of those stores, you would ask them why would they choose to shop from that one rather than from the other one. Sometimes you would hear the answer that the assortment and the deals from that operator are actually better than from nearby Kirana store or from nearby a traditional retail store, right? So that's like the brightest indicator that the market is really, really hungry for modern retail, for better assortments, for better deals. for new items which are not available with the traditional retailers, right? So that was really fascinating for me to see in India. Do you actually see any Indian retail brands expanding internationally outside of the country into the global market? Do you see anything like that happening anytime soon?
I mean, we are going to expand. So we were definitely bullish about international expansion. But I've been reading there are a lot of specialty Indian retailers, like I think Heads Up Hotels, a lot of fashion brands like Sabyasachi, Papa Don't Preach. A lot of these retail, fashion forward retail brands or specialty stores like Heads Up Hotels have started international expansion already. So I think all these brands have presence in USA. A lot of jewelry brands, jewelry retail brands, and I would say wedding fashion brands have also found their way into the GCC and all of Middle East. I believe pet care is also expanding into the Southeast Asian market. So yes, it's the time where Indians should start expanding internationally. We're known for good quality products, good services, but above all, I believe this is going to happen eventually because India has the largest diaspora in the world outside of India. So it's almost like 32 million people Indians live outside of India. That's a huge diaspora. And as to state facts, 80% of convenience retail in USA is run by Indians. So if Indians can run, a Circle K or a 7-Eleven in US, they can much better run a New Shop store or a Manyavar store in US, right? So of course, Indian retail and Indian products and Indian services are like the best in class, including our food. We will now start conquering global markets. In fact, that movement has already begun.
That is really exciting, and I can't wait to see like some of the new shops run by Indian, maybe by the local people in the other countries. I think that's quite an innovative concept. However, would you tell me a little bit more about the different retail formats, right? So I think in much more mature markets, what we see is very different from what we see in India. So are you going to go internationally with the same format as you have in India, or are you going to maybe adjust the model somehow? And what you see in terms of the growth in India? So which formats are going to grow in India, and what are the advantages of the respective formats in your opinion?
Yeah. So see, India retail is going to be a $2 trillion industry, and it's only third to USA and China. And typically, when a country evolves, similar kind of models start developing in that developing phase as well. Most of the modern trade development in India was hindered by the FDI restrictions, which weren't so restrictive for e-commerce. So e-commerce got a lot of funding, and that's what took and contributed to their rapid growth. But because FDI in retail has been restricted for a very long time, or it's through an approval route, which is why you didn't see a lot of formats developing in India. So now what has started happening is a lot of these large formats, retail stores have started doing joint ventures or partnerships with Indian counterparts, and that is leading to a lot of new kind of retail formats or the same retail formats developing in India, right? So just taking you through some of the modern retail formats that we're hopeful will become very big in India. I think specialty stores, we can already see a lot of growth in that regard. In fact, Heads Up Hotels is one example. When I was in my college studying MBA retail, pet industry was a little short of $100 million industry. That's like 10 years ago. And now it's pegged at a $1 billion industry. So as India, grows as a country, develops as a country, and people have more disposable income, there's going to be there's going to be a need for category specific retail formats that have a lot of product depth and assortment. So, Decathlon is another perfect example. India is now getting into sports and, a lot of events happening, and Decathlon is doing that really well. Hamleys is doing that with toys and catering to a category for children and children entertainment. Ferns and Petals is doing that for gifting. And, I think specialty stores are going to develop, and multiple other in fact, I would put Nykaa also in that category, right? Or Lenskart into that category as well. A category of retail developed, and multiple the product depth is created in that, and new product innovation is happening in that category specifically, right? I think then supermarkets is a no-brainer. A lot of these are already getting established where people can find all sorts of products and services. And I think this is where there is the biggest competition with quick commerce and e-commerce. So supermarkets are going to be facing the stiffest challenge and competition, because this is where people go for their monthly grocery shopping, and they have like a planned list of purchase of items. And whether it's the supermarkets or e-commerce or quick commerce, they're all chasing that that monthly grocery shopping basket of consumers of the households. This is the stiffest competition, and there's going to be a lot of innovation in supermarket models. Then there's cash and carry, and or I would alternatively also call the warehouse clubs, where are mostly selling to B2B small retailers or small businesses or hotels, where companies like Udaan, Metro Cash and Carry, Lots in US, like companies like Sam's Club, facilitate bulk purchases and offer bulk discounts for small business people. I think that is also a category that's going to develop, because it's going to take a while for unorganized retail to become organized. And while an organized retail player like New Shop has very high bargaining power, and we're able to get really good deals and obviously pass those out to our customers, but small retail formats like your Kirana stores or typical QSR restaurants don't have that purchasing power, bargaining power. And those are the guys who are going to be shopping at cash and carry stores or warehouse clubs. I think hypermarkets, we've heard DMart is the best example of a retail chain in India. Its profitability and continues to outperform. Big Basket comes close in the e-commerce world, which sort of offers you all kind of assortments, everything under one roof. I mean, there are malls. India, I was reading a recent report by Cushman and Wakefield where India is lagging behind. Like there's not enough supply to catch up with the demand, growing demand. Now, I guess this is very different from what you would see in USA and China, where the growth of malls is actually not happening, and it's actually there's degrowth happening there. But malls are driving, I think, the biggest growth in the retail ecosystem, and also promoting all these other modern retail formats, because it's a place where people just go out for leisure, for experience, for watching their movies, and or gaming zones for their kids, or beauty salons. It's like one-stop shop for all kind of leisure activities. So malls is something that's going to be really big, and at least in the top 8 cities of India. Then there's gourmet stores that are coming up. There's Food Stories, which has been recently started by Kishore Biani ji and his daughters. There's Nuts and Spices. That are like specialty food stores that get you the best food products and ingredients from all over the world. E-retailers, Amazon, Flipkart, Nykaa, I think we all know about it. And convenience stores, where we're specialists, is going to be a very, very big industry, and completely driven by infrastructural spending and development and urbanization, modernization of India, along with the young consumers' need to explore and experience new lifestyle products and lifestyle building activities. You want to cut a cake at midnight for your girlfriend or for your best friend, New Shop, there's New Shop for you. You want to bunch of girls want to hang out at midnight or 2 a.m. and smoke a cigarette or get a quick drink. There's New Shop for you, and it's absolutely safe. In fact, 24-hour convenience stores are contributing to safety and security of our country, especially in like tier 2, 3, 4 cities. And wherever there's a New Shop store, you can actually see a lot of commotion and activity. And that area is actually now the safest area of that city. So that's the socio-cultural impact that I was talking about. And there's department stores. In fact, very recently, Carrefour just partnered with the apparel group, and now it's looking at expansion in India. And I think they announced like 50 stores in the next few years. And then discount stores, where Indians are discount-seeking people. Discount stores is also going to be a very big subset of modern trade. You already have Super 99 and Dollar Store, and there are like a lot of other people who are looking at setting up these stores. I would loosely say that your Miniso and Momoso are like, the dollar discount stores equivalent, because, you can find these really cool, cheap products there that cannot be found anywhere else. And, you can find the same lipstick for 10% of the price at any of these stores. So I think all these retail formats are poised for great growth in India in the coming times. And, depending on what interests a founder and how much capital they have, because, each one of them, the capital requirements are very different. They can sort of choose to build this out. Now, which is what comes to the very important point, that if FDI in multi-brand retail is not allowed, how you're doing it. So I think that is why franchising is going to be the next big thing in the retail ecosystem, because franchising is like the B2B format of retail, and it's allowed, and there's 100% FDI allowed in the franchising business. So we chose franchising both for aligning with the FDI rules and regulations, and also our desire to empower entrepreneurship in India.
I can't agree more with you, having seen the growth and development of the grocery retail in mature markets. And what we see in our home market, for example, and also in the Middle East, that the big stores like the hypermarket formats, as well as some of the department stores, which are probably not done right, are struggling to keep growing and to attract the traffic to them. And now the segment which is actually growing is the convenience segment, right? Obviously, in India, the story is different, because there is a massive scarcity of all kinds of stores. However, it seems like the convenience is the format which is have the chances of growing faster than all the other ones, simply because it's much less capital intensive. There is more sites for it. And the accessibility is a very important factor to many people who might not yet have the ability to drive and to get to the bigger store, right? And one of the, obviously, the foreign direct investment regulations in India, very different from all the other countries, is that the foreign companies are actually not allowed to operate the B2C services without the partnerships. So it seems like the franchise model is really here to grow. But in terms of that trend of the traffic in the Middle East and in some of the other mature markets, deviating from the hypermarket format into the smaller supermarket and into convenience stores. Do you think that this trend is going to start happening in India anytime soon, or we are probably still like maybe 5-10 years before, or do you think it might never actually happen with how fast the population is growing and getting wealthier?
See, I think there's ample opportunity for each of these retail formats to grow right now. There's no cannibalization happening. And there is opportunity for at least 5 players to exist in and grow their business for the next 5-10 years in each and every retail format. So I personally don't see any cannibalization. I think there's a lot of opportunity of growth and opportunity to educate the customer on various kind of retail formats, because all of them have different use cases. So I don't see any cannibalization, but yes, I have, as there's all these conferences happen and you interact with a lot of other retailers. What I do know is that the big box retailers have a lot larger payback period And that's why they need a lot more capital to survive and stay afloat. And their profitability is very less because they're driven by giving massive discounts to customers because they're trying to get a very large part of pie of their monthly grocery basket. And they think that these smaller convenience stores like ours, which never have to give discounting and are a lot better capital intensive, capital sensitive. We hit payback much sooner. So on an average, new shop hits a payback in about 18 months, whereas the large format retail stores would hit a payback of at least 5 to 7 years. But operating a department store is very different from operating a convenience store. So if spoken the other way around, would New Shop ever open a big box retail store? No. We don't understand how that works. We don't understand anything about that level of product assortment or construction or real estate. We don't understand any of that. And that is probably why a Walmart never started a 7-Eleven and a 7-Eleven never opened a Walmart store. So all these are specialist retail formats, and everyone is sort of trying to pioneer and build out their specialty. So I really don't see cannibalization happening anytime soon.
Yeah, fair enough. That's like what we see is that there is so much unsatisfied demand on the Indian market that we don't really see cannibalization happening as of yet. Like, I think there are two big examples: the quick commerce and the emergence of the specialty and the gourmet stores. Right. Number one is that there is I think there is the whole big new category of Indian consumers, what retailers call the aspiring segment. So those are the people who just recently moved up the social class, and now they are looking for the new experiences, including the new shopping experiences. They're looking for gourmet products, for the specialty products. And if you look at this layer of their population in percentage numbers, that's probably not a big number compared to the overall population. However, if you look at it in the absolute numbers, that seems that it's going to be the biggest aspiring or class audience in the world, right? And unlike in the other countries where the specialty and gourmet stores and like all the, say, higher end services have been available for decades, in India, it just happened literally in the last few years. So the demand tripled or quadrupled while the supply is still lagging behind. It's happened across all the segments, but this is like something that we have seen on at least on our dashboards, and as well as the thing like quick commerce, where the delivery is usually under 30 minutes, oftentimes under 15 minutes, right? That's sort of the convenience segment of the online, and the growth which happened in India is unprecedented anywhere else in the world. Obviously, in Russia, we have, for example, hundreds of thousands of daily quick commerce deliveries. However, in India, we are already talking in millions, right? So would you say that if we talk about the online segment, would you say that, say, in slot delivery or say longer delivery is still going to exist in India a few years down the line, or do you think all groceries are going to be really on demand if we talk specifically about online?
I think there's not going to be any absolute of either or formats. So even drawing, say, inspiration from China, where which has attracted the highest amount of funding in e-commerce and grocery segments, the part of the penetration of e-commerce in grocery is still about 25 to 30%, and 70% still dominated by offline. So I think the answer is not going to be either or; it's going to be omni-channel. it is going to be every single retail format, online or offline, has to be flexible enough to be present where the consumer is present, and give the consumer should be in that situation to choose where they want to buy from. So you don't want to miss out any kind of a touch point where the consumer is sitting looking to buy from you.
Yeah, 100%. Can't agree more with that. Look, let's talk a little bit about the opportunities and the trends. We have this slide from your information. So, what would you say are the biggest opportunities in grocery retail, say, other than the online, which I'm so keen on? What are the opportunities in the region, and how do retailers capitalize on them?
So I think the biggest opportunity, which contributes to about 35% of our revenue and almost 33% of our bottom line, is retail media. I think we briefly spoke about it as well. I think there's a huge opportunity for retailers all over Asia Pacific to use this new avenue, extremely high gross margin driven avenue for revenue. In fact, a recent study said that the retail media is going to be almost like a $150-160 billion industry by 2026, and it's going to surpass TV. So, whoever's looking into venturing into retail, they should start finding a way to capitalize their data, to know who their consumer is, and start building the technology and infrastructure either themselves or through help from Yango Tech, right? And they should know who their customer is. They should have all the knowledge and data storage capability and infrastructure, because retail media is huge. And that opportunity will only be available to retailers who know who their customer is and what they're buying. Basically, the customers, basically the retailers who have first party data. So if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to monetize that. And I think that is going to be the biggest trend in the next 2-3 years. We're already utilizing that trend, is because from the very beginning, we built ourselves as a tech first company, and then, eventually opened retail stores through the franchising route. But at the back end, at the core of our company, we're a tech company. We're sitting on all the data, and we built in sophisticated AI tools now to do predictive forecasting. And with this data, now that we have so much data across all our like 300 plus stores, we're able to target customers. We're able to offer solutions for brands to target their customers much better, to get their customer at the right time, right place, with the right product. We're able to provide analytics on what the packaging should look like, what is the right price point for which state, for which city, which is the SKU which is most likely to be sold at which store of ours. So we're able to give that level of in-depth data, which is a lot more useful, valuable, and sophisticated than what a Nielsen and various other third-party data providers would give you, because it's actual customer data. We're able to work out on very deep affinity analytics. For instance, one of the coolest observations that we found is two of the products that are most likely to be sold together in a basket is a packet of Gold Flake cigarettes and a Kit Kat. And it's really unusual insight. You would think it would be a chewing gum with a packet of cigarettes, but it's not. This is like the product affinity analysis, which has the highest probability of being sold together. So as a retailer, I'm able to put these two products in close vicinity so that the customer doesn't waste time. And almost always when they're picking up a Kit Kat, they'd pick the other product or pick up a cigarette and pick up Kit Kat. But also I'm able to offer better solutions to both these companies making these products, and obviously charge them a pretty good fee for that. So we have reached a point in time in our journey where all our stores are rent free, because the costs are borne by our brand partnerships of all our stores.
Do you mind me asking, or maybe you would have like the split from the top of your mind? What is when we talk about the retail media, right? What is the percentage of advertisement revenue generated by utilizing your offline inventory versus, let's say, in-store inventory versus your digital inventory and the spaces in your apps? And if you can disclose what is the percentage of the total revenue how much is the advertisement revenue as a percentage of the total revenue of the business?
So I just it's actually 35%, and our costs on that is just about 2%, right? Which is like just the salary of the brand partnerships team. And we literally take away the 33% of bottom line comes from just retail media revenue for us. And we've gotten extremely deep in
When you say 33%, you mean like as a franchise owner, essentially, right? Or as
No,
the
the total revenue generated by the company, 35% of revenue comes from retail media.
Mhm, mhm. You mean your company or franchisee business
So,
as
the retail media revenue comes to us, and we do a 50-50% split with the franchise partners.
okay. Well, that makes sense. So now it may, and if you measure it as a percentage of the GMV of the franchise partner, then how much would that be approximately if you have the number from the top of your head?
I can just tell you that our franchise owners operationally break even from the 15th day of running the store, because all of the fixed costs are covered by retail media. And that's a huge
Wow.
thing. Yeah.
Wow. That's massive. I think all of our listeners and viewers, they can make the calculation in their mind.
But
How much?
what sounds easy today is possible because 5 years ago we built the tech for that. And we're able to share those data and analytics. In fact, every single inch of our store is capable of being monetized. I'll give an example. Our bill, right? Our invoice that we print out for our franchise partners, whether it's an e-invoice or it's a physical paper invoice, there's a dynamic QR code on that, and even that real estate is sold to brands for advertising. And there's a dynamic QR code every day. There's like a new offer from a brand, and that's how we're interacting with our franchise partners and as well as with our customers and getting really good feedback for the brands. So this is just one of the innovative things that we've done. But every single inch and every single real estate available is potentially monetized at our end. We're just starting. By the way, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're just starting our real retail media practice. There's so much to go. In fact, very recently we tied up with this French conglomerate called Thomson Computing, which builds the world's most affordable laptop and tablets. The laptop is like for 15,000 rupees and the tablets for like 6,000 rupees, and it's like next generation technology. We have an exclusive partnership for them, and we're building about 200 experiential stores within NewShop to allow customers to touch and feel and try and buy these new products, which is something that only an offline retailer can offer. So all the revenue from that is nothing is but pure play bottom line for us and our franchise partner. So we're now building NewShop as a platform for new product and brand discoverability, and 80% of our customers come to NewShop. It's called the NewShop to discover new products and services.
That's really innovative, and I'm really glad that you said that, and I'm really impressed by like how you organized that, and really what we see in many of the emerging markets, including the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America, that some of the like our retail partners, they in fact come to us with questions of how to do what you are doing, and definitely there is tremendous value in providing advertisers with 360-degree platform where they can actually triangulate the offline and the online customers and use these first-party data to target their customers and target their reach their audience in the effective way. And many of the traditional retailers, and in fact, even those retailers who call themselves modern, but let's say they are not yet modern enough, they're massively underutilizing this thing. I mean, of course, the reason for that is that just emerged like so quickly. I mean, it's considered to be sort of a third wave of digital advertisement after search and social media. I mean, it's grown in value from 10 billion to more than 100 billion in 6 years, and something that took social 14 years and something that took search 8 years respectively to achieve, right? So this thing seems to be growing much faster, as you mentioned, to overtake the TV advertisement, of course, because it's rather hard to measure the performance of the TV advertisement, while with with the retail media platforms, especially with advanced ones like ours and I assume like yours, the return on investment for advertisers is much easier to measure, and hence it drives more and more traffic there. I mean, what would you say advertisers, your advertisers, find the most attractive in like when you sell your inventory, when you sell the ads in your network? Why do advertisers come to you? What do they find most valuable? Why do they like you so much that they spend that much money with you?
So I think the number one reason is with an offline retailer, there's a lot of trust established with a customer. You know, if they don't like something, it's very easy to just come back to a retail store and return it, right? So just the trust factor is so much, and our stores are all run by franchise owners. So they have a relationship with all their customers. You know, they're entrepreneurs, not store managers running the store. So much like the upgraded version of a Kirana store where, you know, each Kirana store owner had a relationship with that community, even our franchise owners have a relationship with the customers of the location. The trust factor is extremely high. And if they recommend personally to a customer that, hey, you know, we just launched a new product, maybe you should give it a try, the customer believes them. So the trust factor is extremely high. I think the second thing that from a brand perspective, what they see at our stores is the interaction with the consumer. You know, a consumer can come to our store, pick up a product, they can actually experience that product, which is really not possible in e-commerce, right? For instance, you know, when we're starting, when our first experiential store with Thompson's is going to come up in the next few days, the customer can go to a store. They can actually play around with, I mean, we're building some really cool experiential center around it. They can, you know, we're building a small gaming zone where the customer can come and play a game on that, you know, extremely affordable laptop and experience how good it is. And right there, they can purchase it, right? And if they don't like it, they can come back tomorrow and return it. They don't think that they're going to get, you know, it's hassle-free. There's a high degree of trust, there's experience and there's interaction, and the whole experience is hassle-free for the customer. So I think these are the top reasons why the brands love us. And along with that, just like in an e-commerce company, we're giving them all the data insights that an e-commerce company will give. So we're doing what the other companies are doing, e-commerce companies are doing, plus adding a layer of experience. And I think the biggest factor of all is we are present and deeply penetrated in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 cities of India, where you know, e-commerce also hasn't found such deep penetration. In fact, you know, people don't sort of use e-commerce there. So I think the brands are using our network and distribution platform to reach a consumer which they otherwise will not be able to reach. So I think those are the key reasons why advertisers love us. And not to forget to mention, there are some products that can only be sold at a convenience store. And they don't find buyers in a large format supermarket or, you know, or like a large format store. Like, would you ever walk into a supermarket store to buy a packet of cigarettes or just a can of energy drink or just a candy or just a burger or an ice cream? You won't. You would go to a convenience store for that. So I think, you know, that they're just some products and brands that are convenience retail first, and we're getting all of those.
Yeah, I think that's a tremendous opportunity. Thank you for sharing this. I mean, it's very interesting to hear your insights and compare it with like what we hear from all around the world, from our retail partners, as well as from the tech companies and the advertisers with whom we work across the world, in the Middle East, in Latin America, in North Africa, and everywhere. It's quite a lot of things I think can be adopted in the other markets. And I know that you have to have a hard stop in literally a few minutes, so I think we are going to slowly wrap up this conversation. And we definitely have material and knowledge to talk for hours about this. And we haven't even started to open up the AI subject and the omni-channel aspect, really. We only touched on those points and mentioned like some of the most impactful areas, but really we haven't started opening up. So really, I encourage everyone who is present on this interview and whoever is on the whoever is going to watch it after to connect to us through the contact details provided, and obviously leave the comments under the post and direct message to us if you want to get these materials, the presentation which we have shared here. Please also send a message and request it either through the QR codes provided or in direct message, and we will be happy to stay in touch with everyone. So, Asta, thank you again very much for coming on the interview. This is absolutely great talking to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and to all the audience guys, thank you for being patient listeners, and hope we shared some insights that are valuable to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, and see you again soon. Thank you.
All right, bye.